is a registered dietitian who provides important tips to healthy eating and healthy living. Here to keep you well fit, Fiorella Di Carlo. She always has a story, letting you know what's happening. Now, today is kind of warm.
Yes.
Does that play a major part in people getting sick? Because you're supposed to have a coat on this time of the year, maybe a jacket, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that if you're okay with the weather, I mean, it's a bit of miscommunication regarding the coldness and the susceptibility. Certain viruses do thrive in cold weather, but it really doesn't affect, like that whole thing about you being wet and cold can increase your susceptibility.
There has to
it's
be
really
something
not,
in the air, like a rhinovirus or something to give you a cold.
Exactly. And since the colds and flu is basically a virus that invades your body, the best defense that your body has is to build up its immune system so it's less susceptible to getting the viruses.
And you do that with what?
Yes, you do that with nutrition and food. So there's a couple of culprits, right, that can suppress your immune system, and that's stress, basically, alcohol, things like that, poor nutrition, and I said stress. Which is a big factor, and lack of sleep.
And lack of sleep, a very important one right there.
Yes.
That one gets me all the time.
I mean, we are a sleep-deprived country. I mean, we're always on the go, so it's very difficult to get at least our 8 hours in, but we really do have to try as much as we can because it really wreaks havoc on our bodies when we don't have that time to restore it. And so basically one of my top recommendations to be able to increase your immune system function so that it's less susceptible to the viruses during the season is to try to limit your refined sugar. They've done many studies that says that increased amounts of sugar does actually depress your immune system.
And do viruses thrive in the body if it's more sugary or? Well,
the sugar will suppress your immune system and therefore allow more susceptibility to the virus to enter your body, if your immune system is not strong. So it kind of has that relationship to it. And in addition to that, when people tend to choose more sugary foods, they tend to be less filled with vitamins and minerals, so therefore they're filling their diets with sugar instead of the vitamin and minerals that can actually increase their immune function.
Just filling.
Exactly. Basically that's what it ends up being. Exactly. Well put. And so the other thing that I do recommend is probiotics I've brought up before, because a lot of the studies lately have linked the immune system to your gut health. So if you have a healthy gut with healthy bacteria, that healthy bacteria in your gut can counteract any sort of pathogen that can come through it.
So get the core healthy.
That's right.
Do you do this through probiotics in yogurts, or you take a supplement?
Well, yogurts are great. They have two strains of probiotic in it. Kefir is another one you can get up to 10 strains of good bacteria in kefir. So I generally, if I would have to recommend, I would recommend kefir over yogurt only because of the extra strains of bacteria in it. But yogurt is just fine.
So you create a battle in your midsection.
You really do. That's exactly what happens. So it's trying to
build up the forces.
Yeah, and also the other thing that happens with our culture that we're really big in taking a lot of antibiotics, and sometimes self-prescribed antibiotics. People don't realize that the antibiotics can kill a lot of the good bacteria in your gut. So it kind of has that repercussion to it. So it's very important to rebuild with probiotics in your diet.
What about a lot of people go and they get colonics?
Right.
Well, but you destroy also, you remove a lot of good bacteria that way.
You do. I mean, I always recommend the body has its own cleansing mechanism and let it be, let it happen as it does. Unless you have a specific medical problem that creates a need for colonics, for example, then that, should be discussed with your doctor. But in general, if you're taking in, the first thing, if you have a problem with that, I would say take in lots of fruits and vegetables and fiber and water in order to cleanse yourself naturally.
Great. What about some of the old remedies? Like back in the day, they say, okay, we're going to give you a tablespoonful of cod liver oil?
Yes. Well, I'm not sure about. Well, you know what?
There's something to that, though. It would clean your stomach out so that it could absorb more, I guess.
Well, it does act like a diuretic.
And all that stuff.
True, and the chicken soup. I'm glad that you brought that up because the chicken soup. They've done studies on that. They're not exactly sure. They haven't pinpointed the activity level in the chicken soup, but it does have antimicrobial properties to it, which brings me to another group of foods that I recommend that have this antimicrobial properties, which are things like garlic, with allicin in it, has a compound. chili peppers that has capsaicin in it. All of them have, you know, antimicrobial properties in the bottom. Don't do that. I know I've done that before, by the way. That wasn't a good idea. I've definitely done that. And then also things like rosemary, turmeric, you know, spices. So if you are going to make this chicken soup, make it even more powerful with all these things in it, you know, and that it'll help you with that. So all these antimicrobial foods can really help, you know, strengthen, you know, that kind of.
That's the Jewish penicillin.
It really is. It really is good for you, you know, and.
Yeah. So how did you went and you're dietitian now?
Yes.
What are some of the steps that you had to take to overcome to get to that point?
Well, it takes actually quite a while. You know, I was just asked recently, what is the difference between a registered dietitian and a nutritionist? Because a lot of people will say I'm a nutritionist, others will say registered dietitian. And the main difference is that pretty much the word nutritionist is not necessarily regulated. A lot of different people can call themselves nutritionists, anyone who has gone to a 4-year college for nutrition or someone who's just taken a class in nutrition. But a registered dietitian, on the other hand, is someone who has gone through an extensive education, undergraduate and graduate, in addition to a 9-month supervised internship in various areas like clinical nutrition in hospitals and so on. And the other difference with a registered dietitian is that registered dietitians can also accept insurance coverage.
Oh, there you go.
So that's the main difference between the two.
You have ways of getting paid through that.
Right. So, you know, if you're going to go to, you know, someone for advice or especially medical nutrition therapy advice, you would probably choose a registered dietitian. Yeah. So how does that worked out okay for you? Yeah, it's great.
More people calling you?
It's great, yeah. I mean, once you have insurance coverage, it's really great. And you know, and you do have a level of expertise that in clinical setting, you know, that helps rather than just having.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Do you work with a company or are you still freelance?
Right now I have my private practice.
Beautiful. What are some of the recently what are some of the things that people have to do in order to stay healthy? Because this is cold flu season.
It is. It's terrible. And again, it's about the prevention. You know, once you're in it, you kind of have to go through it. You know, a cold lasts between, you know, 7 to 10 days. You're contagious up to 3 days after you get your first symptoms. The flu can last 2 to 3 weeks, you know. So it really, really wreaks havoc on your life, you know, when you can't function.
So there's no way to reduce the amount of time that the flu takes to run through your body?
Well, the thing is that they've done some studies regarding vitamin C, and that really have become inconclusive.
Because after you have it, it has to run its course.
Its course. I mean, of course, I recommend sleep. Sleep is huge. I mean, it's something so simple, but it really has a dramatic reaction. In addition to that, other lifestyle changes like attempting to reduce your stress, limiting alcohol. Alcohol suppresses also your immune system too. So if you're doing that, you know, a lot of people will, you know, they'll find themselves, especially during holiday season, you know, you're drinking a little more, you're having a lot of desserts, things like this. And what happens is you realize that it's not even so much the season, it's what you're doing during the season. You know, that it has more of a correlation than the just cold. You know, it's more about, you know, your partying, your alcohol consumption really suppresses it. So, you know, trying to do those in moderation really helps.
There's nothing wrong with taking a drink or two, but prevention.
Right, is really the key to the situation. Yeah, if you can build your body's defenses up, the least susceptible you are to the cold and flu.
What are some of the supplements that we can take?
Well, of course, I always recommend whole foods first, right? Just only because the body is more able to absorb the vitamins and minerals from whole foods. That means whole fruits, vegetables, and so on. But if for vitamins and supplements, again, you can take about 500 milligrams of vitamin C a day. Again, for prevention, not so much to alter the course of the flu.
And that's okay because it's water soluble. The body, whatever the body doesn't need, it gets rid of.
Look how much you know. Look at you. Look at you. It's true. It's
some of the vitamins that are fat soluble, like is it vitamin
E, and K? Right, exactly. So those tend to, if you take them in excess, you know, sometimes the vitamins and minerals that you find in stores have really high amounts. You know, they don't have the RDA amounts in it, and you can reach toxic levels if you're not careful for that.
Well, darling, where can we get more information? I mean, we would like to talk about this all day.
Of course.
But how can we call you and get information? You always come by and you always have great tips and great information. But
I'm glad.
We want to continue. Where can we? Is there a website or?
Yes, fitwithfiorella.com. You can go there. You can follow me on Twitter, also FitWithFiorella. And you can go to Amazon.com to get my book.
There you go. All right. Yeah. Well, pick up Fiorella's book, 30 Days to a Thin New You, available now on Amazon.
Amazon.com.
Amazon.com. We'll take a break. We'll come back with a whole lot more coming up next right here on Channel 67's Open.
Huh.